Tuesday afternoon, January 9, 1940, the lifeless body of a woman identified as 21-year-old Willie Mae Sanders was found in the snow-covered woods on Belle Isle in Detroit. Homicide Division Inspector John O. Whitman noted that the young lady was very neatly dressed, but marks in the snow indicated a violent struggle. In fact, there was blood found as far as 100 yards from the young Miss Sanders. Before month's end, the police had honed in on a solid suspect, John Wells, her 41-year-old live-in boyfriend. The two cohabitated in apartment number 3 of 611 East Palmer Street. Wells, a policy pickup man, was apparently less than honest with Willie Mae about his life and his full availability in hers. You see, according to her aunt and uncle, Mr. and Mrs. Henry Davis of 3466 St. Albans Street, Miss Sanders had relocated to Detroit from her birthplace in Atlanta in 1935. Since that time, she had been working as a domestic and met John Wells. Their relationship evolved, and the two had been living together since November of 1939. Willie Mae, like most young women, expected that their relationship would result in marriage. During interviews with other residents of Sanders and Wells' apartment building, the two had argued after Wells spent the night out on Sunday and did not return until Monday night. The two had breakfast together Tuesday morning, but then the arguing continued. This is when her dreams were shattered. It was revealed that John Wells was married and therefore unable to give her any more than what he was giving at that moment. In fact, he had been married for 9 years and resided not far from Sanders' aunt and uncle at 1513 St. Albans Street. This came as a shock to her relatives, and her 23-year-old brother Theodore, who arrived in Detroit from his home at 15 Spencer Place in Brooklyn, New York, to take his sister's corpse back to Georgia for funeral services and burial in her hometown. Knowing that the Detroit police were closing in on him, Wells fled Michigan, abandoning his brand-new Lincoln Zephyr on Gratiot Avenue. Willie Mae's bloody coat and purse were found in the car. This is where the case went cold, and the prospect of bringing her killer to justice was all but lost. Later that year, a warrant was issued by Judge John P. Scallon, and in the first week of June, the police department spread circulars hoping to locate John Wells, but to no avail. All hope seemed to be lost. 2 years passed, and it was now March of 1942. Although whispers about John and Willie Mae dissipated a bit, conversations still arose, and the one who seemed to have been forgotten was still exposed to these mutterings, each one breaking her heart over and over again. Georgia Wells, the 47-year-old estranged wife of John Wells, was found wandering near Atwater and Randolph in downtown Detroit, muttering that she hadn't had any peace of mind and didn't know what she was doing since her husband killed his sweetheart. Georgia, now living at 504 Henry Street, stated that she was discontented and had a notion to jump in the river. The unidentified stranger who intervened was able to get her to Receiving Hospital for mental observation, ultimately helping to save her life. It is unknown whether or not she ever spoke with her husband again. The year is now 1950. It has been over 10 years since the death of Willie Mae Sanders, and police still haven't apprehended John Wells. Meanwhile, in a seemingly unconnected case in Neptune, New Jersey, a man named John Weaver was serving a 9-month sentence for the assault and battery of his girlfriend, Mabel Gravely, at his apartment at 271 Fisher Avenue in Neptune. Just when he thought the John Weaver case was put to rest, New Jersey Detective Captain George J. Jeffries received a phone call from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Apparently, after adding John Weaver's fingerprints to the FBI files, they coincided with those of a man wanted for a 1940 murder in Detroit. The detective contacted Detroit law enforcement, and it was determined that John Weaver was in fact John Wells. Wells did not even attempt to fight extradition back to Detroit. Upon completion of his New Jersey sentence, he was transported to the county jail to be picked up by Detroit police. He told his arresting officers, "I'm tired of running around anyway." Wells was put on trial in Detroit, and on November 15, 1950, he was sentenced by Recorder's Judge O.Z. Ide to 12 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. His crimes were etched in the city's memory for many years to come. We are still searching for clues on what happened to John, Georgia, and Mabel. The more clarity we have of the past, the more clarity we have of the present and future. Each of these individuals have a story. And everyone's story deserves to be told.